Hello everybody and welcome again to the Dr. Leria's world, and today we are going to do something really different. We are going to talk about a great workflow using a 3D character to make a scene like that. And I know that we are all crazy with MetaHuman, but today we are going to work with three great applications: Character Creator, iClone and After Effects. If you are interested and you want to know more how to use this workflow, please keep watching this video tutorial. And like always, if you are learning, please give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's go to the party. So guys, we are here in Character Creator. As you can see, this is a great project using a cartoon 3D character. And the first thing I have done here in Character Creator is design this character. This is a character I have previously bought from the Reallusion store. As you can see, I have made some modifications, some morphs, wearing some clothes also previously bought from the Reallusion store. But also for this project you can use your custom character or maybe one of the Character Creator library. And the next step I have done is send this character to iClone, where I did all the parts of this animation you have seen. And finally I send it to After Effects to do the final composition. I don't want to delve too deeply into each application. Mainly I want to show you how is the workflow I have used it to do this project. As I told you before, here in Character Creator, I have previously bought this character from the Reallusion store. Look at this is a cartoon character designer pack, okay? And look at this is a great pack. You have too many options to customize your character. As you can see here, I have made some morphs, some modifications. Also, I have been working with the Skin Gem plugin. This is a great add-on that you can use with the last version of Character Creator, and you can do really great modifications in your character skin. And let me show how I have worked with it. In this case, look at this, I'm using a makeup. You have too many options and you can do really great modifications in your character using this add-on. And this is more or less like a Photoshop. Look how we can change the layers, and we can, for example, activate these layers. I'm using here like a dirty layer, also like a military paint, and maybe some makeup for the eyes. Regarding clothing, I have also worked with the pack previously purchased from the Reallusion store. Look at this Apocalypse apparel. And it's really nice. You have many options of clothing, boots, also glasses. Many things that you can use to dress your character with this apocalyptic touch. And finally, to connect Character Creator with iClone, it's really easy. Well, you go to File, Export, and here you have Send Character to iClone. And this will open iClone and automatically import our character. Well, let's go to iClone and talk about the animation. As I told you, we send it with a simple click and we have here the character. But as you can see, this project is already configured and we have the animation of our character. But I want to show you and I want to teach you the main modifications and the main tricks I used to make this animation. And now look at this here, moving in our timeline, we have the body animation and also the facial animation. For example, for the body I use a predefined animation here in iClone. I have made some modifications to fit it well with the character. And I have focused especially on the part of facial animation. Look at some gestures and expressions of this character, as they are very exaggerated with the idea of giving this cartoon touch. I have done these facial animations and if I remember I used the Motion Life plugin. Look at this. So let me show you how to work with it. In my case I'm using an iPhone X. This is important because you need a true depth camera to connect with this application. Like that you need an iPhone X or higher, okay? And this is really easy. Connect your iPhone using USB, right here your IP. You need to check it here to activate your device. Here you get it. Look at this, live face. And now, let me move, okay. Let me check it here. Okay, you click on preview, press space.
Y ahora por ejemplo estoy hablando y podemos hacer toda la animación.
So as you know, I used to record these video tutorials in Spanish and after I translate it to English. And something I used to do when I work with the Motion Life is uncheck the eyes here on the mask. And this because I don't want to track my eyes in every moment, and like that I can look at my computer monitor and check how the animation is working, if everything is tracking well. And this is something great because you can check and uncheck these parameters. And also look at this, you have here too many parameters you can use. For example, you can increase this value and you are maximizing your motion capture data. And this reminds me of a guy on YouTube who makes videos of this type. Well, like that you can correct your animations. For example, here I want to change the cheek. Look at this. Okay. And this is a great way to check if your facial motion capture is working right. Once we have finished the motion capture, we have to adjust the expression parameters and review in general how it looks. For example, here you can use the face key editor. This I like it very much. And let me show you how we can work the expressions. Here you have some predefined expressions. You can go to a keyframe, you can set a new one. You can also change the amount of expression. And like that, this is really simple. You can go to your timeline and you can add some expressions here. The main idea working with a character like that, with a 3D cartoon character, is to work with more pronounced expressions. Maybe in some moments like that, I can see some mistakes, but I don't care about it because in movement everything is going well. And look at this here with the modify mode. Here you have more parameters and you can work it in the same way, adding keyframes to your timelines and gradually correcting the animation. And look at the timeline. I'm using some keyframes in the eyeball parameter, and for that I prefer to do and fix some animations after the motion capture. And here also you have the mask editor. And this is really great. Look at this. We can check, for example, here, and you can change your animation. I look at again at the timeline where I have been adding keyframes to correct the animation and add some expressions. I need to tell you also that I can spend too many hours working and fixing with the animations, but finally I see that everything is correct. And for this purpose, this is an exercise, everything is working well. And we have here more parameters like the Viseni strength and also the expression strength. I want to show you, for example, modifying the expression strength. And look how is working the expression now. So you can increase or you can lower your value. This depending of your motion capture. You need to check it if everything is working well. And also look at this, with the Viseni strength we can modify the mouth animations. And as you can see, we have many editors. So for example, this one, the face puppet, this is really great also, because you can work using presets, like that you choose your kind of character. Also you can set the type of expression here, you press preview, space, and if you move with your mouse around the screen, you can see how it's doing the animation. Okay? And also you have here the create a script. You can record voice, you can use a text-to-speech, you can use an audio file, and also you can use a script file. These are really great also. And this is really nice also because if you don't have enough budget to buy a motion capture device, you have here a cheap option. But I can tell you also that this technique works really great. And now let's look for the body animation. As I told you, we are using here a preset from iClone. I have made some modification to fix it in my character. And let me show you how easy it is to change your animation using presets. So for example, this is the preset we are using. Okay. We delete it. And let's try with this one. Look at this, this is a really simple and this really easy method. Of course, you can use your custom animations. In my case, I used to work with Mixamo. I like it a lot because I have a huge library of Mixamo animations. And also you have the 3D Chain application. This is another application from Reallusion. And it's a great application if you want to import your character or maybe you want to use external animation that you have working in another software. I look at this here in our timeline. We can select the animation with the right mouse button. We can set modify. And this is the motion modifier, so you have more options to check your animation, and this is really great because you can correct every kind of position of your character. But like I told you before, if you have enough budget and you can buy a motion capture device like Xsense or Rococo, they are really great, but I can tell you also that they are really expensive. So that depends on you and of course on your budget. We have seen here more or less the possibilities we can do with the animation. And let me show this one because this is really great. We can, for example, resize, we can loop, and also we can change the speed. We are changing the speed here and now everything is going faster. Okay, let me do it faster. Okay, and this is really nice because you can adapt your animation really easy. I'm pretty sure that I have forgotten to talk about some things on this project. But what I need to tell you is that both softwares are really intuitive and really easy to learn. And finally I want to talk about the illumination. I'm using here this preset. This because I want to have a more cold lighting. But the most important thing is that you don't need to have anything in your background. This because we are going to make a shot like that, this like a frontal shot, okay? And we are going to export it using an alpha channel. I like that finally we can use it in After Effects and do our final composition. And finally about the exporting process, this is really easy. Some users ask me if I work with iRay, and I don't use iRay because I used to work with Unreal Engine, so for that I use the standard render. And the main parameters I use in this project, as I told you, this PNG format. You can use also TGA, and the most important is that you need the alpha channel, okay? Of course, this animate sequence, and here we have a frame rate using 60 frames per second. Also here we have the frame size, and I'm using here a 4K. In the After Effects projects I decide to use the Full HD resolution, but I decide to use the 4K for the character because I want to increase the quality, and after there in After Effects, down scaling our character, I like that we get more quality. One thing is important also, is you have to check super sampling in high quality. I know that you see here that I haven't checked it, but for the exporting process I would recommend to use with the high quality. And now here in After Effects, this is the last step. We are going to do here the final composition, and in this case I show you step by step. Okay, the first thing, we create a new composition, we use a Full HD, and for the duration I use 10 seconds. Also frame per second to 30, and we click OK. Okay, and now let's press Ctrl I, and here we import the exported sequence. You need to check here this sequence PNG. So this all the frames we have exported. Let's import it. Okay, and now we drop it here in our timeline. Now let me adjust here to the viewport. And now look at this because we have exported this sequence in 4K and we need to rescale to 50%. Okay, I like that we use the double information for each pixel in this sequence. And of course you can export this sequence into Full HD. And the next thing, again, we import here and we select this one. This will be our background and I drop it here. Okay, now I have the foreground and the background. Okay, let me scale and we place it like here. Okay, it's okay like that. I need to do something also with the sequence. Look at this, we need to interpret footage, and here what we have 30 frames per second, we need to set it to 60 frames per second. And this is because we have exported this sequence from iClone using this frame rate. Now everything is looking good, but now we can move and we can rescale, so we can set the right position and the right scaling we are looking for. Okay, it's looking good like that. I want to leave a little space at the top, of course respecting the head. I set it here, I adjust to 100%. It's okay, and now let me look. And the next step, we select the background file, this one, and we go to Effects, and we select Focus and Defocus, the lens defocus, this one. This is not the most optimized, but works pretty well. You have some parameters you can change here, for example the radius, and also you can change the shape, for example rotation, too many parameters. But as you can see, using the default preset and working with the radius, everything is looking good. Okay, so we got it here. And now the next step I want to show you. We import again another file here, and I want to use this smoke. This is footage from Motion VFX. There are great libraries from this company. You have, for example, light rays, bokehs, dust, and a lot of kind of footage like that. Now we drop it in our timeline, and as you can see here we have these columns. You need to have the mode, okay? Because we need to check this mode. We are using right now the normal mode, and we need to use, for example, the screen mode. Now let me move the sequence, okay? Maybe more or less like here. Here it's okay. And now let's play here. It's looking good. So as you can see right now we are compositing some layers and we are more or less closer to the final composition. And now look at the background, there is a smoke, it's looking more blue and more softer. Like that here in our last imported layer, we can select color correction, we can set tint. And now we need to check here using the white color, okay? And we need to get it closer to this blue light color. Now look at this, because these colors are matching better. And also let me try, for example, in this smoke, we go to color correction and we add the levels effect to this layer. Now we can set, for example, the highlight. We can move it here and now we have more intensity. These are more precise settings, but they are important to gradually get this shot that we want. We can also do the same with the main sequence of this character, and we can set, for example, one color correction. We set levels. We can move the midtones, we can use the highlights, and it's okay like that. Well, this is a little touch, but as you can see everything is looking well right now. And like that, this is more or less the color that we were finding for this shot. Now something is really important. If you have seen, for example, in iClone, when we export this sequence, we don't have a motion blur. Maybe I'm missing something or I don't know, but as I have read on the Reallusion website, in the next version they will implement this motion blur technique in the exporting process. Right now I have not found it, and as you can see here, while we are moving, everything is crisp and everything is, I don't know, we need this motion blur effect to get better results. Here I can show you a simple trick. I'm using this plugin, Revision plugins, and we have this one, RSMB Pro. By default it's working really nice. You can use GPU. Let me show you. We're using the default parameters, and now look at this here. In this hand, let me show you activating and deactivating, and you see how it's working this effect. Maybe this is not the perfect motion blur effect, but it's very good because you can achieve very realistic results, and it helps on these moving sequences. Also, I need to tell you that while you are adding this kind of effects, you lose some performance, and also the preview mode goes slower. But also you can see it right now, adding these effects we are closer to the final composition, and everything is looking better. And think also that we are using simple effects, and this is not the most complex composition. Now in general terms we have more or less this final composition. Let me check this smoke layer again. And we can set, for example, the opacity. If you press T on your keyboard, you can set the opacity. And like that you can adjust and control the opacity in this layer. Also now we can go again to our background and we can set another effect, and we can use again the levels effect. Set the midtones, and we can set the lower and the higher values like that. And like that we can have a more contrast background. Now if we are setting these parameters on the background, we need to go again to the foreground, to this character, and we can lift it up a little more light. It's okay like that. And now this is depending if you want to use a LUT or you want to use a creative color correction. We are going to add here a new adjustment layer, this one, and we add here one effect, Magic Ballet Colorista. I like a lot this effect. You have here a lot of parameters, like for example the temperature, and we can set it, for example, here using colder tones. So it will be to find the right point that you want in your final composition. Here also in Colorista you have another parameter, this one is pop, and I like to use just using a little touch of this parameter. You can also use a vignette. In this case, I don't want to use it. Okay. You can adjust the highlights, okay, like that, and you can adjust the shadows. And like that we are using the adjustment layer, working with all the layers in the composition. And finally, using the level curves, we can find for something more creative and more contrast, maybe like that. Let me show you this the beginning, okay, and this is more or less the color correction I have worked, and I'm happy with that. So let's finish with the color correction parameters, and now we create a new layer, and this will be a new layer. We can rename it here. If you press enter in your keyboard, you can rename it in your timeline, and we use a name like mover, okay. And now we choose here these layers, okay, using the shift in our keyboard, and using this spiral icon you click and drag in the mover layer. So this will be the father, and everything that we set it to the mover layer will be the children. Like that, as you can see, everything that we are doing in the mover layer affects to the children layers. And of course we don't need to link the adjustment layer. So let me place it here. And now what we're gonna do with this layer, with this move layer, we go here and we press P in the keyboard to open the position. And if you press the Alt in your keyboard and you do a click with your left mouse button, we'll open this little editor script in the timeline. And now here you can read transform position, so delete it, and we start writing we girl, okay? And we set the wiggle between two values. So like that we are going to use here between the minimum point is gonna be 2,20. We press enter and we are here again, okay? And look at this here, using just this parameter, you'll see how the layers are moving, and this is like a handy camera movement. Now let me show you in play, and look at this, it's a little movement, and it's giving us that nice kind of handheld camera effect. If you want to make it stronger, for example, you need to change these parameters. We have here between 2 points, the minimum value in this case is 2, and the maximum value is 20. We can set, for example, between 3 and 30. And now let me show you again. Now it's stronger, now we have more wiggle in this camera effect. I prefer to use it like before, I like it. So let me change it again. Okay, now we are more closer to the final composition. And look at this, because adding these kind of effects, everything is looking better. And the next step I want to do is I want to create some defocus in our character. This like we are using a camcorder and we are using the autofocus mode. So for that we are going to work with the main character, with this one. And look at the background, it's already out of focus. And we are trying to create this kind of effect with our camera using a higher focal length. So for that we work just with the main character. And we add a new effect, we go to focus and defocus, and we select again the lens defocus. Also you can work with the Gaussian defocus. The initial value will be 0, and we add here a new keyframe. We move in our timeline, and for example here, we add another keyframe, so I can set it here like 0.1, and again I set it here 0. And now let me show you here in the timeline. We click on the arrow, and here effects, add the defocus, and we need just to move, okay, like here, and we can put it like 15, maybe we can set it like 10. And here we go some frames after, and we set it to 0 again. Look at this, it's not very prominent. Maybe we can set the higher value, this one, and we can set it like 15. So let's go with this. We select everything. We move to other part of this timeline, and we can copy and paste these values. Okay, let me move it here, and maybe this here. This, like everything, you can use Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V and move it around your timeline, okay? Now we got it, and the preview time, this depending of your computer, and also this depending of the kind and the amount of effects you are using in this project. In this case we are using a background, a foreground, one spoke layer, and some simple effects. And I can tell you also that this method or this composition technique is often used a lot in audiovisual production, TV commercials, and this is mainly because it's a very efficient technique. Think that in this way we reduce the number of polygons and we increase the performance during the rendering process. As you can see, this is a great technique, but I need to tell you also that After Effects offers a great performance, but if you are working with a really complex thing, you will not work in real time and you need to do a preview of every time you want to see your final composition. Also, you can set the quality for the preview mode using the high, medium or lower quality. And this is like everything, if you have enough budget to buy a really amazing computer, this is not a problem. And I recommend having enough memory, 32 GB or more. Be aware that this kind of application like After Effects are really memory intensive. And of course the graphic card. In my case I'm working with NVIDIA RTX 2080 Ti. It's a great graphic card. This is something that I comment in all the tutorials, but it's also something that always asks me. Well, finally, after to talk about a lot of things, I want to add a new layer. This is like a dust layer. This from the same company that we are using Motion VFX. And look at this, we need to do the same. We use the screen mode here. And now we can set, for example, some parameters like the opacity. We set it like here. And we have finished it. Let's see the final composition. So guys, I hope you like it and you learn how to use this workflow. And as I told you, this is a great technique and really useful in audiovisual production. So like always guys, if you are learning, please give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in the next video tutorial. Bye bye!